Nicole, can you hear us?
We're muted.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Busy around here. Everybody at practice or something?
Volleyball.
Oh, that's what it was.
Okay, I think if Nicole can get in, I mean, it sent Becky the same link, so
Yeah,
should
she
be.
hasn't texted me back yet, but I'm sure that I know she will if she doesn't get in.
Becky should be able to get in as well. It shouldn't be.
I know that cell signal out at her place is hit or miss.
Yeah.
So
I think we are ready, Mr. Miley.
We're ready. Okay. Well, let's get moving then. So 5:33, call the meeting to order. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Moving on.
Just to notify, we have 2 board members present, so if we do have to make a motion, we'll have to wait until we get a quorum to do that. So
Absolutely.
Sir Mr. Meehan will be joining us shortly, or Mr. Higgles. So
All right. So did we have any public comment?
no one has signed in on our public comment sheet. So there's no one in attendance other than staff, and I was not provided any public comment questions via email.
Okay. Moving on to 5.1. District Operations Report. Mr. Brennan.
All right, so a few additional updates from when I initially submitted the transportation or the maintenance and transportation information sheet. The Cat 6 cables, they are actually finished. They've been installed, tested. They seem to be working great. So we now have displays out on the commons and concession stands. So ASB can put up and whatnot. Yeah, the commons. We are continuing to work on chain link fence in front of the playground and mending the fence around the outdoor sport court area, and we're hopeful that it can get done this weekend. Working with Alpha and Omega Construction LLC, been in touch with them. So once we get them the 50% down payment, they will resume work. They'll be collecting that on Thursday, and then schedule Saturday, Sunday, and they'll be working on that to get that knocked out for us. There'll be 2 man access gates at the front, as well as vehicle access right there by the bus garage with the old vehicle access point. The purpose of the fence, it's just providing additional security for students during school hours. We don't have to deal with anybody coming through town, stop in there, hang out there during school hours, and we have to ask them to leave while the students are out there playing. We know who's out there, when they're out there, and during school hours, we can lock those man access gates. So that way, the only ones that have access to the playground and the field, as well as supervision.
If we did go about locking those, would they be unlocked for the weekend?
Yes, they would. Yeah, once the school hours are done and we're on off hours, I'll be out there. I'll unlock them, open them up. Anybody's at that point. We also have a trash can now out there, and then I'm working working on installing the dog beds, so that way dog droppings afterward, and we have trash can there for whatever trash.
I believe we had a fence there in the past. Chris, you might remember. A fence in between the tennis court and the maintenance building.
Yeah, there used to be a chain link fence there.
Do you recall why it was taken down at all?
Snow took it out and then the post just got pulled out. But snow kept just bending the poop out of it.
The plan for that is the eco blocks will remain in place. They'll be moved 3 feet forward. So that still leaves ample amount of space for vehicles to park along the road right there, as well as snow to be plowed off right there. What the eco blocks will do is absorb the bulk of the weight of the snow, so it doesn't actually try and keep it so those eco blocks are closer to the fence, so there's also not an additional 1 foot gap in the eco block of the fence where snow can fall in there and start pushing. So if I can get that situated, then ideally the eco blocks will absorb most of the weight of the snow, and that'll help dead spots on the basketball court. There are a couple of dead spots. Well, what I'm calling dead spots. Apparently, there's an entire science to determine whether it is a dead spot or not, because there are multiple layers from the surface to another layer underneath the surface and the sub layer, and then what that's resting on. So for the purpose of this, I am calling them dead spots. There are multiple solutions. One of the solutions are nails or screwing down any raised areas that could cause the dead spots. Not my favorite option, just because how much of the floor are we going to nail in the future until at some point 50% of the floor is nails. Then if we ever want to replace that, there's the additional cost of the contract when we take the floor up, also having to remove the nails. Guarantee that's going to add an additional cost to an already expensive project. So my solution that I've come up with, just doing research on how gym floor manufacturers repair these floors, aside from tearing that section up and fully repairing it, is they will drill a small hole and inject spray foam underneath the floor. Now, the pros to that, fixes the dead spot. The cons, now it creates a hard spot. So, on the ball, the ball 3 feet, nice, and then suddenly it's that hard spot and it goes up 6 feet. But I think that a hard spot is better than a dead spot, because a dead spot, the ball just so in preparation for the high school basketball starting up here, I'd like to get that mitigated as soon as possible, just so anybody who plays on the court, they can use that to their advantage. So not a dead spot here, or something like that. So that is 2 options. The third option is drilling a hole and applying epoxy. That's not my favorite option, just because if I spray the spray foam and it doesn't work out, I can chew that spray foam up underneath there, get in there and spray it up, and then epoxy, if it doesn't stick, you're still going to have the epoxy there. And I guess you could transfer that, but I'd just rather go with where I can work with contingencies. So that's kind of something that we're working with within the gym. I do have new bulbs ordered for the scoreboard as well, so we get those replaced, the ones that are burnt out. The drinking fountains in the locker rooms, I've turned those off. I do not believe that it is sanitary to have drinking fountains where we wash our hands, as well as within close proximity to where students and staff might be using the restroom. They are within a 5-foot distance of urinals, 5-foot distance of the toilets, even though there are barriers. That's just gross. So I turned the drinking fountains off to the locker rooms. You can still wash your hands. You can still utilize the restrooms, but drinking fountains are not available. Because we have a water bottle fill station and water bottles are allowed down in the gym, I encourage students to just bring water bottles, fill those up, and if not, I encourage staff to allow students to go use the drink fountains if there's one close by, just right outside the gym doors. So I'll be removing those drinking fountains, and then I would like to update the sinks that they have there. So that will be in the future, but in the meantime, for right now. Let's see. There was the drinking water test for lead and copper. Recently submitted samples for that. I have gotten the results. Only locations that are showing indications of any lead are right there in the concession stands. So to mitigate that, I'm going to install filtration systems within the sinks, inline filtration systems within the sinks that'll capture that lead and any copper. The lead readings are minimal, but Department of Health said there are no safe lead levels, even though they do have a criteria. I believe it's 15 parts per billion. Ours is sitting at 0.003, so very small amounts. But again, no safe levels of lead. If I can get it down to 0, that's okay. So I work on getting inline filtration system there, and developed accident prevention binder per the suggestion of LNI. So we do in the staff mailroom, we have a accident prevention / loss prevention binder where if anybody's looking for resources as far as hazard reporting accidents, potential hazards, if you want to know about ladder safety, heat stress related, what have you, cold weather, you can look in that binder. Resources are there, as well as further link if you're looking for what the binder's providing. That's something that I can continue to add to as the years go on. There are also forms that you can fill out if you find a hazard and report it. SCU 11, the room has gone without heat for a good number of years from how I understand it. We have restored the heating working with McKinstry. It does have heat. However, there's still a communication issue at the front end, at the server end. But we do have heating in there, so the room will be warmer this winter. What I'm working on is trying to figure out that communication issue. So if we want to adjust the heat to decrease that level, then we can do that. Right now, it's just running off of whatever the last program heating setting was, which from what I can tell in there, it's about 72 degrees. So that's a comfortable temperature, especially sustain that. That's it for the maintenance side of things. On the transportation side, the new bus 4 has been inspected, approved by the State Patrol. It's been added to our fleet. So we now have the new bus 4 that we purchased from Issaquah with nice shiny decals on it. It says Easton School District. So that's exciting. I'm working on the new bus 3. Just waiting for those decals to get in. Once I add those, State Patrol's already really looked at it. So when we come out again, they know it's good. We check the wheelchair right there. They just have to do the brake test on it and look at, make sure the decals are all good, and that one will be ready to be added to the fleet. And then we can surplus the old bus 4 as well as the old bus 3, giving us 4 newer buses. So that'll be nice come winter time as well. There's one of the issues that we're running into as we get more interest in sports. We have a van, one single van. Right now we are renting a van. And the reason for the rental of a van, whether it's no availability of, or there's no available bus driver for that sporting event, so then we drive the van. Right now we rent an additional van so we can take the football team to their games. I would propose that we get an additional van, not only just for sports, but in the event that we have a sporting game and we don't have a van available, and it would be impractical to use a bus for McKinney-Vento students, whether it's homeless students, when we need to provide transportation in that event, we will have an additional van that's available to transport those students in an application where a bus would not be practical. And when I say a bus wouldn't be practical, that means the distance is so great that they would have to deviate from their normal route and add that additional miles onto it, which would affect our efficiency report to the state, which is sitting about, I think last I checked, about 53%. We want to get it as close to 90% as we possibly can, but they are understanding that because we have low ridership that's spread out, it's going to affect our efficiency. However, taking a bus and going even further out will further affect our efficiency numbers. Now, with the McKinney-Vento, that is not a reason, monetary reasons, not really a reason to negate any transportation to it. But I find the solution to that would be to get a van. It provides more maneuverability, more options to that transportation, more opportunities to sporting events. So if we have times where, say, volleyball and football, there's clashing, they can get bus transportation for one team. There's now no transportation for the other. We have two vans available that we can get that transportation for those events. So it would make it, I think, more feasible and provide more maneuverability for the district.
So we haven't rented one yet.
We have rented.
We have rented. So
we've rented one van for the trip to Clallam Bay, and then we've rented another van for Vancouver. And the cost of that usually runs about anywhere from about $214 for this next rental to about I think it was closer to $200 for the last one. It would have ended up being about $350 just because when we rented it and then we dropped it off.
And that's for 2 days.
Yes, 2 days renting. Yeah, and there's the option too of if we don't want to purchase a van, creating a rental agreement. You see other commercial industries, they'll do it where they'll do a leasing option from companies, and then once the vehicle has reached its life expectancy, they switch it out. And I'm not sure how that works, if it's a monthly fee or if it's like annual payment, what that looks like. I'm not really sure. These are still things that I got to price out and see what would be more financially responsible and what would be more practical for us. But those are two options, whether it's leasing a vehicle that we can use for a year-to-year basis or just purchasing another van. But that is a suggestion that I have for the transportation side of that. I do have on the paper, the cons to that. Purchasing an additional van means more maintenance expenses. That's more maintenance expense that we have to put towards the van. But renting a van, while it may offset the expenses, the maintenance expenses, we end up paying more in the long run due to annual fees or monthly fees than we would end up paying just outright purchasing.
And when Jeff says McKinney-Vento, those are kids who are considered homeless, unhoused. But that definition is pretty broad. It could be living in an RV somewhere. We have, I don't want to say a significant number of families in that situation, but we have more than a couple. And we are legally required to provide transportation for them, as we should. We have one family who I believe lives South Cleella.
Yeah, South Clallam, and then as far as.
So we're picking up those kids because this is their school of record. So
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I like the idea of getting another van. I mean, I see enough of these sports teams showing up, and that's what they're traveling in. So
And it doesn't even have to be a van. It could be something, a Suburban or whatever.
Something
is-
with-
Large SUV.
Wilson Creek just pulled up in I think a Suburban.
Yeah.
So.
absolutely, I would agree with pursuing that, seeing.
Yeah, I'm not opposed at all. So,
Well, then I will continue to price it out.
Not until we get dollars and cents. So Jeff and I will work with Nicole to kind of figure out what's the best option for us. And I know Jeff has already been networking with transportation folks to find a good new to us van, so to speak, or a vehicle.
Yeah.
So to meet our needs.
being it's technically, I mean, not technically, but it's hauling kids for school. If it was a large SUV or a van and it was all-wheel drive, does that still fall in the chain requirement? It's not really commercial, but it's commercial. if it was all-wheel drive, because I know our van is only two-wheel drive.
Yeah.
But if we
I don't know.
something
I
to
know
look
we
at.
changed up
Something
last
was
year.
four-wheel drive or all-wheel drive.
Yeah, and, there's the option of adding the traction tires to it as well. And I know a lot of times in the past, generally, if you have an all-wheel drive or four-wheel
Yep.
drive vehicle, they don't have to chain up.
Yep.
And then in incidences where they do, traction tires with four-wheel drive also suffice.
Yep.
I think the only time I've ever seen it where they were like, you have to chain up was a few years ago when it snowed 3 feet on the freeway and they just ended up closing the passage.
Yeah.
I'm under the belief if four-wheel drive and all-wheel drive have to chain up, we probably all shouldn't be out there
We should be
anyways.
out there.
Yeah, and that was the
Despite what
first
my
time I've
husband
ever
thinks.
seen that in my life, so that was interesting.
Last Christmas Eve, I got home, had to turn around and drive right back to work, and it was freezing rain, about 3 inches thick.
Yeah.
And it was all I could do to keep on the road.
Yeah.
With studded tires. So they closed it, but I still had to get through and go up. So,
So Jeff will start looking into options for us and bring it back to the
Yeah.
board for
I definitely like the
Potential
idea of
vote.
looking into that four-wheel drive option, because whoever our sports teams are, because it's coaches typically driving.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah.
Can I install chains? Yeah. Can all of our coaches install chains?
Yeah.
Maybe, I mean, they should, but do we
Yeah.
wanna make them? With a bus full of kids, or I guess a van full of kids?
be careful if it looks like nasty weather and we get a basketball game or something, we're gonna err on the side of caution.
Yep.
Yep.
Reschedule.
It's just that weird squall we get sometimes
Mhm.
out of nowhere. It snowed 4 feet.
3 seconds.
Just-
All we
is
did
that
was
it?
just look the wrong
Yes, sir,
way at
that
a
is
tree.
it.
All right. Looks good, as always.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you, sir.
All right, moving on to 5.2, superintendent report.
So in the report, of course, I always start off with our enrollment for October. You can see our head count there at 86. I did find out yesterday, we actually have 4 new students who will be joining us, 1 at the preschool level and 3 at the elementary. So that'll be bumped up a little bit. Numbers are solid, a little bit higher than where we were last year. So that's a good thing. And I will keep our running total of where we are FTE wise from month to month and year to year. Sure, hopefully we get another green square down there, a rectangle at the end of the year. Jeff has already talked about the fencing, so just we did have several issues where Jeff or I had to go ask some people to leave the campus while we were still in session. Weren't causing any harm by any means, but I think just having our signs out there aren't quite the visual barrier that some of our folks need. So having a fence with signs hopefully will help them out. Varsity basketball, I know this is good news that we have enough students on both the girls and boys side to have varsity basketball teams at the high school level. So we're excited about that. We purchased some new uniforms. So I want that. We had one program had decent uniforms, the other one didn't, and I want to make sure that it's equitable and both kids out there are representing Easton with pride. So Kyle will serve as our boys coach and Nate will serve as our head girls coach. And I believe we are having an assistant coach probably for both teams. He will maybe float in between. I can see just knowing the relationship between Mr. Hickman and Coach Nate is a lot of probably blended practices or half court here and half court there for boys and girls to maximize the court time. Knowledge Bowl, we have had interest from Miss Lloyd about Knowledge Bowl. If you don't know what Knowledge Bowl is, it's kind of like Jeopardy trivia, but it's competitive and have electronic devices where they're asked questions and the kids will then ring in. We're hoping we have enough kids to be interested. We need at least 6. I think we have 3, so more to stay tuned on that. Obviously, the Yakima schools are involved in that, as well as Ellenberg schools. I'm sure you're aware we received an outdoor ed grant again for this year. thanks to Jessica and Patrick and Marshall for putting that proposal together. So right now they are planning a high school trip, I think to Cape Disappointment. Is that right, Jeff?
Yes, sir.
And also maybe a camping trip for the younger students, maybe middle school, I think, at maybe not St. Helens, but lots of stuff is still in flux, but the kids will be out and about, and we are looking at purchasing obviously some tents and sleeping bags and things like that, but also perhaps a second greenhouse and or an outdoor classroom out by the new playground. Have that nice concrete pad. We don't need that basketball hoop out there. Kind of looking at thinking that might be a good spot for it. We've added a couple more Promethean boards, which are game changers in the classroom. Our teachers who have them now, I don't think they could teach without them because it's so tactile. You know, the kids can come up there and yes, it's PowerPoint. Yes, it's video. I mean, you can include all kinds of different things just with a touch of the board and getting the kids involved, and kids use it.
Yeah, also respected value.
The staff uses it tremendously. And I think we have in all of our major classrooms, with the exception of art and the shop. So we are happy about that. And I know the teachers, when they rolled in this past week or the past couple of weeks, are very happy. We are still struggling to find a part-time nurse. So Kittitas and Easton, we are working together to hire a full-time person. That person would be at Kittitas School District for 4 days a week, and then with us for 1 day a week, which actually would be an increase from the time previously with our nurse. But we want to find a person who will fit that niche, and we're struggling. We're now contracting, or almost going to contract with an employment agency. We have one candidate that Kittitas interviewed, was offered the position, and at the 12th hour backed out. We're hoping to interview another candidate again this week. So I'll keep you posted on that. It'd be great if anybody knows an RN out there that's looking for throw Kittitas under the bus, but I got to think of Easton first. A part-time gig here at Easton with great students and a great staff. It would be, love to have them come on board. So we'll see what that entails with working with the employment agency. But not happy about that, but that's kind of the position we're in with nurse. It's difficult to find in this area, especially for a very part-time position. That is the extent of my report.
All right. Well, Jen,
Jump in.
yeah, you want to jump in?
Sure.
We're right at 5.3.
Sorry about that. Yeah.
No, thank you for coming.
Sadly, I have to go back tomorrow because they weren't able to finish everything, but I'll figure it out. All right. Yeah, so board member report, section 5.3. Do any board members have anything to report?
Nothing really to report. One thing, so I work with a gentleman that he actually, I don't even know what they're called. They're like agate rocks,
Thunder eggs?
maybe. I don't know.
Geodes?
I guess, sure. The ones that you
Yes.
cut them in half and it polishes them.
Yeah, beautiful.
So he's really into that, like to the point where he's got a claim out in Greenwater, and he goes out and hunts these things. But he also said that Piano Way is another good spot for finding things. I was thinking with everything that we do outdoors with students, that it potentially could be kind of neat to have, and he's willing to if we decided to come out and do a demonstration and show the different rocks. He's got the equipment for cutting them, polishing them. I mean, everything. I mean, he's big into it, like dynamite license and everything. So
Timing, actually in science, they are going through geology and talking about Pangea, metamorphic rocks, sedimentary rocks.
yeah,
So
I'm gonna
that'd be a good connection.
try to get more information from him. and some samples, and then I'll shoot them over.
Yeah.
And kind of let it go from there and see
Yeah.
if it's something that we're interested in. I mean,
No, absolutely.
I know.
Be
a lot
fun
of-
to take the kids out.
Yeah, I know a lot of kids like finding rocks,
Yeah.
but I mean, even going that next level, be able to find them. I think I might enjoy actually looking for them too.
Also speaking, just real quick, I was messaged by somebody on Facebook who was bringing stuff for the supply gathering, and they just weren't sure where to leave stuff. I guess they were here after hours. So I did message with Ingrid, but they can leave them outside, but I don't know if there's a way maybe to just kind of update the messaging or just have a spot where people can leave it from the outside.
Yeah.
It sounded like they were here when it was closed or not.
I put the donation box outside, so it should.
Perfect, yeah.
Yeah.
So I've got one other thing. So I was in, it was actually one of the realtor meetings. The Issaquah School District they're doing a big levy and they came in and did a presentation, which doesn't really pertain to us. But what did pertain was they're trying to get all of their seniors to graduate with some sort of certification by the time they graduate. Obviously, Issaquah's a huge district. They're setting it up by location of the school. I think it's the Issaquah High School proper. They're like the health science, and they've got another school that's like their tech school, and so they're trying to put the kids through something so that when they walk out and they graduate, they've got some sort of certification that they can use as a marketable skill right as they walk out. I don't know if it's something that we can necessarily put into that degree, but
Seems like they're doing pathways.
Mhm.
Which is
mhm.
a CTE pathway.
Yeah.
It's interesting you mention that because our counselor Sadie, excuse me, just went through training from OSBI about the high school and beyond plan, which is going to change.
Oh, okay, good.
I don't know what it's going to change to. I don't
Yeah.
think the state knows what it's going to change to, but that might be now one of the requirements is maybe you have to lead with a particular pathway emphasis or
Yeah.
certification. So I think might be a little bit wait and see what the
Yeah.
state is going to require.
It was just one of those that I was like, that's really interesting. I mean, I don't know a whole heck of a lot about like the CDL program, but I'm like, we've got plenty of kids that come out of this county that end up, they work for the state or they end up running heavy equipment. And so being able to sit for that exam when they turn 18 or after they graduate, I don't know if the requirements to have your diploma or not, but something like that. I was like, that's not a bad gig to look into. And maybe being able to team with Cleellum or some of the other schools in the county to set that up. But if the state's already starting to look at that stuff, it just might be something that we wait and see on. But
That would
I'm not
fall
sure
under-
what that's going to look like from the state. You never
Yeah.
know. But
Are they trying that too, to just try to add some value to people not leaving the school? Or are they
I think
having-
yes, they are having it based off of the presentation that they had. They're having the same issue that all the schools are, is parents are pulling the kids and putting them in homeschooling situations of sorts. And so by having that available to them is kind of what they're doing. And I think that they're probably pushing their kids closer towards college. What college do you want to go to? Do you want to go into nursing? Do you want to go into engineering? Whatever. But we have such a small population of kiddos that we're working with here. We can probably tailor it to something that's a little less college push. I mean, not
That
college, but
falls under CTE,
Mhm.
which we're trying to get to.
we're trying to get to, but none of our teachers right now qualify.
Okay.
They have some work. I don't want to say real world experience. I hate work experience
Yeah.
outside of education to do that. The one that might be close is Mr. Neuer, but I'd have to verify on that. We have a senior here. Let's hear from Yair.
Yeah.
I don't want to put you on the spot, but I'm going to put you on the spot. Yair.
No, I think it's a good idea because I have like a lot of family live down in Yakima,
Mhm.
and then a lot of them go to like Eisenhower and like Apes and stuff like that. And then I have a lot of cousins who they cut hair or like any sort of trade, and they would go to the school and then like have like a part time like maybe 2 hours and then go to I forget what the trade school is. It's, Perry Tech, yeah, they go to Perry Tech, and they would one of my cousins walked out of high school with her license to cut hair, and that's like 1,000 hours. It probably costs like, some schools go from $5,000 to $10,000, and she got it for free just for
Yeah.
for going to school.
Yeah, I would agree. I'm a huge proponent of CTE classes. I believe in providing that additional pathway, at the secondary level. So yeah, I mean, if we could get there, that'd be great.
Running Start, these kind of things are, I think, great programs. The issue I have, and I think schools have, is it takes away our funding. But yet we are still required to complete the high school beyond plan for every student, where, the technical colleges and Central, they basically collect the tuition and hands off, so. That's my hesitation. That's, I guess, not my hesitation, my frustration, I would say, with the program and the process.
Would putting these programs in place, though, encourage parents to put their kids in sooner, though, and draw them in maybe at a younger age?
Would it have to be a program or could it be a club?
I mean,
Depending on what certification you're looking at, I mean, obviously, we can offer CTE classes here that could lead to certification.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that we're trying to develop with DigiPed is can those kids, after they take a couple of years of DigiPed, get a certificate in game design or something.
Yeah.
That's their passion. But I know other schools, one school, kids will all come from surrounding schools for welding. Another school, they'll go to another high school for, let's say, healthcare, if they have nursing services.
Yep.
So with us, it's a challenge. I mean, the distance is a challenge. That's why we're trying to do lots of things in-house with our students. But we'll see what the state says with the graduation.
How many kids are going to transfer?
Right now, we have two. Yeah, which one?
So 2 seniors.
Two
that are not
seniors.
here next year. Like, I know for us, we can't go to Western. Central. It's just too far. So like, it doesn't make sense for a
Right.
family to do friends for parents.
I think it definitely is. They do offer online classes for Running Start, but in-person classes versus online.
it takes a specific student.
Absolutely.
I mean, I was a student that I was probably best online, but I also didn't.
Yeah, I'm gonna put you on the spot again, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
How do you like your classes?
That's good. I have 2 in person and then 1 online.
Okay,
And then the online, I think I have like 115%.
Okay.
And then the in-person, I'm at an 82. It's like
okay.
one of the 100, other one's like 90 something.
So, but you're enjoying your experience. Okay.
Yeah, I like
Good.
it's fun.
Good. And Running Start's a good option for a lot of
Yeah.
students. It is.
Yeah.
I think so too.
At that age, I wasn't ready. I was,
It takes a certain
it
student.
takes a certain student.
It takes a certain student.
So you offer the options.
Yep.
Students that are ready and, get the transportation. That's one of the issues is transportation. It's an equity issue.
Mhm.
Some families can't.
Yeah.
Whether it's distance or economics, they can't
Which at
access
least,
it.
at least the online programs are giving, it's bridging that gap a little bit, but
It's an option.
yeah.
Kind of on another note. Same subject. I haven't forgotten about a chair from one of the chair lists.
Ski area
I'm not
management, by the
gonna let you
way.
forget about that chair.
So this is my verbal way of replying back Darren's text message because I forgot he texted me till I texted him to tell him I was gonna be late. So I haven't forgot. I just haven't had a chance yet.
I understand. The spot is waiting whenever it's ready.
We're cooking with gas right now and going full bore.
I can imagine.
Ski area management course too.
Yeah.
I got off work 12 minutes before I walked in this door.
Thank you for being here. We appreciate it.
Any other board member reports? Okay. I just wanted to mention that I was at the volleyball game the other day and they were doing a great recognition for breast cancer awareness month for October with the ribbons and stuff. So thank you, volleyball team. All right, so we are gonna move into section 6, so financial updates. You guys hear me online?
Yeah, I can hear you. It's a little quiet, but I can hear you.
Try to remember to speak up. And yeah, if you wanna hop in on the reports, that'd be great. Thanks, Nicole.
Yes. So just a reminder, these are preliminary reports until we finalize our 23-24 school year, which is due to the ESD this Friday. And they'll review all of our financials that we submit, give us any feedback, and I'll hope to give you actual 23-24 numbers at our November board meeting, as well as September actuals for September and October of this year at November's meeting. So these are still preliminary, but as of September, our ending cash balance is 887,531. And that yellow line there on the graph is our 20% minimum fund balance policy. Put that on there so you can watch to make sure we don't drop below our policy that you guys have put in place. And this is our general ledger trial balance. We just include that to let you know that we are reconciling our general ledgers to our county treasurer. So that's why we also have our county treasurer statement in there. We do have just a little bit of a cash difference, but I've been working with my team, Trisha and Jason, and we think we've identified it. So we're really excited about that. And going forward, it should all be perfectly reconciled. This is what comes from the county treasurer. So this is what we reconcile our books to. We include this to show you that we are reconciling this to our general ledger trial balance that comes from our system.
Mouse trackpad just froze.
Yeah. And then our budget status report is where we can see our revenues and expenditures on our ending fund balance. Maybe budget status.
Oops, I think I put two treasury reports instead of the budget status report.
Oh yeah, no worries. I have one. So the budget status report, just leaving as of the end of September, 916,442 is our ending fund balance, which puts us at a 24%. We've received 6.7% of our budgeted revenues, and we've spent 9.3% of our budgeted expenditures in the general funds. And we are about 8.3% of the way through the year.
We're a little bit ahead of our revenues.
Yeah, and September is always going to be a little bit slower bringing in our revenues because we don't really most of the time claim our grants, like our Title I grants or any of those grants, which we won't have Title I this year, but until November, just so we can get year end cleaned up, those grants wrapped up before we start receiving our new grants. Our capital projects fund has an ending fund balance of 491,542. And our transportation vehicle fund has 16,155 as their ending fund balance.
Nicole, I think you sent us the wrong, I have Orondo School District.
Oh,
That's
Yeah,
why it looks
yeah.
so funny.
let me.
These numbers aren't matching.
Nothing.
If their numbers are better, we'll take them, but if they're worse, we don't.
You know, let me look. I wonder if I used their template when I switched to that Excel document, and I'm wondering if I just didn't change the name on it. Let me pull it up real fast. Okay, those are your numbers. We just, yeah, so I started using that template in November of last year, and I didn't use that template in September and October. So when I file saved as. I didn't catch that September wasn't changed. I'm sorry about that.
It's okay.
No worries.
An easy little fix.
Th- Changing it now, so next year when I use the same template. Good catch, though. Did you have any other questions for me?
I don't.
No, I'm good.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Nicole.
Thank you, Nicole.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Shuffling into section 7 here, the consent agenda review.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Done.
The one item I would like to bring attention to is the cell phone stipend for Rachel Cummings.
I saw that.
Yeah.
Very interesting process by OSPI. They now require myself and Rachel to do some kind of second step authentication. And you have to put the app on your phone.
So now that it's required for work, we need to.
It's a work phone.
Yep.
Now it's a work phone, so
Yep.
that's the rationale behind it. And over the weekend, my previous phone died, so I had to go AT&T on Monday morning, got a new one. All the apps are the same, but now I can't do my authentication, so
You're not the only one.
Yeah.
Well, last weekend.
good. I'm glad I'm not the only one, 'cause I was about ready to.
Well, yeah, if we're just doing payroll, should have that.
Yes, and Catherine has that as well, so I'll get my access back, but I just wanted you to understand why it's now required for Rachel. And, she does get the 5 a.m. I'm sick, I can't come to work, text messages, so
I think it's,
I felt it was very appropriate.
Okay, all right, moving on to board business, section 8, board policy review.
To apologize ahead of time, but recall our last board meeting, I was in Bellingham and Jeff ran the meeting for us virtually from Easton, and I left all my notes in Bellingham, so you'll
Oh,
see.
just skipping those.
Yeah, you'll see why those the top 3 are still on there, and I didn't get my notes to change the policy as you had asked me to, so
we'll just table those.
I apologize for that, but we are ready to look at the second reading of basically, and these were the start of the 6,000s or the financials. And these were generated by our audit that required us to look at our financial policies before we move forward on other policies.
All honesty, I'm okay with all of them.
I am too.
Yeah, I don't think there's really anything out of the ordinary in any of them. 6022 is our minimum fund balance. I would recommend, obviously, we keep that. If Nicole has recommendations of, increasing or decreasing that percentage, I would defer to her. But I think everything else is pretty much things we should have, especially in light of what we've been through with the audit and investigation. I think it's probably the best that we move forward and adopt the WASDA policies.
I make a motion to adopt all the presented WASDA policies.
I will second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you very much. That is recorded.
Sorry, my normal board meetings, nobody wants to second anything. I'm like, let's just move along, guys.
No worries.
Okay, board discussion, section 9, and superintendent goals.
Yeah, I have a few items I'd like to share with you. These are my goals from last year. I wanted to share these with the board so we can kind of review how I did and didn't do. Ones that I've crossed out, I feel like I have attained. Followed through as I said I would. The ones that are highlighted in that almost peach-like color, I don't think I completely fulfilled. I know I tried to do weekly updates to the board think I was on track probably 80% of the time. There were some weeks that fell through and I fell short, so my apologies, but I did try.
I feel well communicated.
Okay. well,
Yes,
Yeah,
I
As
would
long
agree.
as long as you guys feel that way.
I don't feel
the-
like you need to put pressure on yourself.
No.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
the important stuff was communicated in a timely fashion,
Okay.
Yep.
Very good.
so I'm,
Yeah, and plus you're getting weekly updates from just the gang.
Mhm.
I try to communicate I'd rather over communicate than under communicate, so I'm trying. And during my walkthroughs in teachers' classrooms, that's the other area where I kind of downgraded myself. I didn't track that data like I should have. Obviously, I gave the teachers feedback, but I didn't put it in a spreadsheet like I wanted to. That was my vision of tracking the days and times, but life got in the way and business got in the way, so.
been busy or something.
A couple of things came up here and there. So, wasn't able to do that. I didn't, obviously I'm in classrooms every day, but didn't track it like I had envisioned. So that was, those were last year's goals. And just, again, wanted to update you where I felt I did well and where I think I fell down a bit.
Do you feel like that's when you want to do or do it differently?
I will, of course, always be in classrooms. I do kind of sometimes question, is it worth my time to track it as much as,
Yeah, just be
we
present.
have 10, 11 teachers, 12 teachers. I know their strengths. I know, the areas that they do well in, and we don't have a huge staff of, I'm not responsible for 45 teacher evaluations, so I think I do a pretty good job of making sure I'm on top of things. These are my goals for this year, and I just kind of wanted to go back when I first interviewed at Easton. These were the things that I asked the board, well, what do you want from this new person? And these are what the board at that time said. I do love dogs. I have looked at budget issues. I think I know the students. This is my third year. I've been hopefully providing some stability and longevity. I don't know if I can address, I didn't feel comfortable crossing out exciting leadership. I don't know how exciting my leadership is. I wouldn't go there, so I didn't mark it. And re-engage with our community and school. I mean, that's pretty subjective. We certainly have a lot more student activities. That is what I wanted to have, kids involved in things. So but it's just for reference. Not sure why my trackpad is not working, but you do have a hard copy in front of you, as do I. So I'm going to switch back to that a little bit. My most important job is to hire staff, and then we have good staff, keep them here, retain them, and they've got to fit into, I guess, what the mission, the ethos of the school district is, and that's an evolving thing. We hang our hats on outdoor ed and do those kind of things, and the teachers and staff have to believe in that. And if they don't, then, they're not going to be happy here. So I think my most important job is making sure I get the right staff here to work with our kids. So I want to continue to make sure our staff feels valued and they are following, our mission that the board sets up. Increasing our academic rigor, K-12. The way that I will measure that is we do some formative assessments with our kids, standardized tests. We use one called iReady at the elementary, and we use MAPS at the secondary. So what I'd like to do is look at their MAP scores from, let's say, 2023 compared to 2024, and see if that has grown, and then 2024 to fall of 2025 to see if we have moved the dial in the various subject areas, math, science, ELA. So that's kind of will be my way I measure that. I want to increase our college level courses and connections that we have at secondary level. Kind of fits in with what earlier discussions of how do we get kids more ready for those next steps. And we have 2 AP courses that we're teaching now. We have DigiPen, but we do have a need where we need to provide some CTE job-specific training. Just not quite there yet with our staff. I also like to increase our arts department, K-12 music, maybe some K-12 art. I worked with a candidate last spring. She just was not ready to commit to coming in part-time with some changes that she had in her life, so it just wasn't the right timing for that. I've reached out to her again to see if maybe second semester she'd be willing to come in, and I'm kind of waiting on a response back. I will follow up, but that would be great to have some music and art for the kids. Sure why my trackpad is not working. Share. One of the things that I would like to add to my to-do list, my goals, is to increase our student headcount. I'm concerned when we see the numbers in other districts. It's getting a little bit competitive now. And I want to offer programs that are going to get kids here to the school, and they have an environment that will have them get here. Because I think a lot of people, we had just had a gentleman from ESD 105 here today. Wow, I didn't know this school is this nice. It's kind of like a little gem I didn't know. I think that's the case with a lot of people. They don't know the good things that we do here. They don't know the options that kids can go through when they're here. So basically, I'll measure that from our head count right now to our head count next year at the same time. Did we increase or not? And probably some tools to do that. We can do some social media marketing. We've already added Instagram. I'm by no means a social media expert, so I might look into getting some assistance from our consultant to help us with that. How do we reach families that are interested or want to perhaps look at a different environment for their kids? Who want that small class size, who want that personalization, but still want some of those other options that we can offer, like sports and activities. That's minimum fund balance per policy. Simple yes or no question. Do we meet our policy? Yes or no? That's my goal. Strategic plan. We're going to talk a little bit about that here just in a moment or two. Do we have a strategic plan that we put in place by September of 2025? Yes or no? And this is a holdover from last year, is fiscal and operational transparency. I think with what the district has been through these last few years, as much stuff as we can put online and visible to our community, the better. So we have board docs now. I do my weekly update or semi-weekly update. We do an annual calendar. We do our JAG news. We now have all of our meetings are on our YouTube channel. Our recorded board meetings are up there for folks to look at down the road if they're interested. And as I've mentioned in the past, all the information from the accountability audit and the fraud investigation, everything is on our website and it's easily accessible. So there are no things being hidden and not shared. And again, that's another reason why I wanted to point out in the consent agenda the rationale for the cell phone site. People know why.
Yep.
Have any areas of doubt about how we spend dollars. Those are my goals. I welcome any feedback that you would give me. It doesn't have to be right now, but if you think about something later, say tweak this one a little bit, or do this a little bit differently, or I don't think you should focus there. Be happy to chat with you about it. But I think those are kind of biggies. Strategic plan, making sure we're transparent, having good teachers and good staff here for our kids, and making sure we have dollars in the bank. And we have the tools to do it. Absolutely. That is my goals for the year. Like I said, I will welcome any kind of feedback you want to give me.
Has there been any further discussion on the possibility of running a bus to Cleon?
I will defer to Jeff, but we have talked a little bit about that.
Yeah, we've discussed it as far as incorporating onto our normal to and from route. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, I mean, just, I guess really ultimately getting other families that are in the greater Cleon area
Yeah,
be aware that we're running a bus down there so that Easton is an option.
Yeah, and there are no RCWs, there are no OSBI regulations that say we can't travel within another district. Generally, it just falls down to courtesy. Now, if families are enrolling here at Easton and they need transportation, say more than, one or two families where it becomes practical for us to make that extra 6 mile distance.
Right.
Say, we have 4 or 5 families that are saying, you know what, we want to go to Easton, then we incorporate that in the route because it makes the expense well worth it. And not only that, they do the transportation and it brings the student count here. And that's something that appeals to parents. There's no reason why it wouldn't be.
Yeah, I'm just thinking of how we could advertise that, because otherwise you need like
I can get a wrap.
the cart in front of it. Well, either that or
Cleveland may not like it, but you know what?
Or
the
a
spirit of
designated-
competition.
or a designated location for a
Schools
bus
aren't shy.
Yeah.
stop, something we can set up.
We could set up a big banner right on the edge of Easton School District border in Clayella that just faces.
I don't know, we got some great I-90
Or-
frontage, but a great big banner out there.
Yeah, or even a banner right out here on the freeway fence
Yeah.
that says where we bus to
An
and
Easton
from.
Jaguar offense, and we could list things on there, Small
But-
classroom sizes, personalized
Jagwagon
transportation.
service.
Jagwagon service.
Yeah. Volunteer, get Jag swag, you know what I mean? There's a lot of things. You go look up the Wisconsin Crickets, that's how they brought their numbers up,
Yeah.
is they advertised their logo, their brand, Crickets.
Yep.
And, their superintendent said,
Yeah,
"You're
no.
talking out long enough, I'm like a cricket, I don't know it." So, he was a great speaker, but that's what he did. Anybody that volunteered at the school, they got Jag swag, whether it was a shirt. I mean, you got people from out of town that would come in and they would do something to volunteer, they got Jag swag. So they're in another state wearing, hashtag Wisconsin Crickets.
Absolutely.
Next thing you know, people are like, what is this? And they start looking them up online. That might be an option. Anybody volunteers, they get Jag swag, and they get to wear it, they get to represent us and build a sense of pride. And, just little things like that can maybe get it out there, like you said. An advertisement on the fence. We got a fence right there with blank space.
We got some legalities with that too.
Yeah.
That's my job to work.
Yeah.
That comes
Get-
into
get
that
the
exciting
public
leadership part.
Yeah.
That would be exciting. But, you'll notice, we're doing a lot of branding in the school. Jeff, I haven't told you this, but we got a big box. I have my 9-foot Easton letters that are ready for the cafeteria to go install. We got a donation bucket out there with Jag stickers out there. And so we're slowly but surely, our budget, I don't think is quite as large as the cricket budget, but we're working. Speaking of budget, I'm gonna jump right into modernization grant. This is basically the list of, in rank order, of the current grants that have been requested by small schools under 2,000 students. And we are number 42 of 56. And from what I understand and what I've heard from OSPI, that is a very high likelihood that all of these will be granted and funded because it's kind of a twofold. Because people aren't passing bonds, there's a whole lot of construction money.
Yeah.
So instead, they're gonna take that money and put it into small schools modernization, which is great. So we are in the middle of doing a planning grant right now with McKinstry. So they're looking at our HVAC, our windows, everything else within the district, and we're developing the plan, and we could be seeing $6 million coming to Ferndale. Excuse me. Oops. That was a faux pas. Well, to Easton for our modernization. These aren't real exciting things, but these are necessary things. Roofs,
I can
walls,
extend.
plumbing.
Floors.
I don't know if we put in floors in the grant.
What's this order about?
That is-
I'm thinking gymnasium.
Yeah, this is the rank order. So if they only have such and such amount of money, they're gonna fund numbers 1, and then they'll go down the line.
Okay,
From what I'm hearing from,
based on urgency.
yes, and based on, they look at your ICO score, which is your building quality score, building maintenance score. So The higher your ICOs, the more you bumped up on the list.
Bus garage extensions and football fields count as.
No, we cannot increase our footprint. It's only for existing square
Existing.
footage. But we do have a plan that we're working on for, we'll call it a multi-purpose field. Hopefully get soccer out there at some point. And of course, football. So we're working on it. And speaking of the field, if you recall, we did some environmental testing last year. We still have the instrumentation up. That report from Dr. Lewis will be done fairly soon. And I think we're going to be quite surprised about some of the results. We are
Pleasantly surprised.
I guess it depends on how you look at it. There are some things that would be concerning exposure-wise. Let's put it that way. Sure.
And that's why we're doing it.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
exactly why we're doing it.
Yep.
So we have that, say ammunition, we have that data to say, hey, this is what's going on. Do something about it.
Move the freeway.
While you're at it, let's widen it so that we quit using Nelson siding as an extra highway.
Legislative update.
Yes, the last thing I wanted to share was just the a brief snapshot of the upcoming legislative session. So it'll be a long session, starting in January and ending in April. Put this on here because this is in our state constitution. It is the paramount duty of the state to make ample provision for all children in Washington. Our legislators seem to have a problem understanding what paramount duty and what ample means. And I'm going to share you some data here that shows that. This graph is state spending is in blue. K-12 public school spending is in green, or funding, I should say. And you can see right when we track down this, shrink it down. Let's see that. Right here, 2012, 2013, that's when the lawsuit was, McCleary lawsuit was taking place. And you can see what happens here. Well, the legislatures figure out we better fund schools a little bit. This here at 18, this was an additional, I believe, lawsuit or correction of the lawsuit for.
That's when they fixed it, but messed it up for this one.
And this was for state salary allocations. So you can see that went up, but look at what has happened since 2021. You can see this gap. And here's public school funding, and here's all others funding.
All right, so we need to sue them again.
Apparently they didn't get the message the first time. So
They just thought they'd hide behind COVID and that we don't forget.
this is just, again, another graph is showing in 2019, K-12 had 52% of the state budget. I would say that is ample. I would say that's paramount. In 2024, 5 short years later, we're down to 43%. I would not consider that paramount. I would not consider that ample. See here, and this is again a graph just showing the same thing. It's the funding for K-12 education has dropped significantly since the high point of back in 2018, 19. Here is it. Oops. Not again. I hear this term MSOC a lot in the legislative session. MSOCs, material supplies, operating costs, insurance, propane, water bills, electrical bills. You can see those percentages that have gone up. We've seen them in our own homes. Biggie here is insurance cost. Then I have, this is the insurance cost just in ESD 105. And look at the percentages here.
Some of them went way up.
Let me see if I can make it a little bit larger. Yeah, we increased 90%. I hate to be Union Gap. Went up 121%. And you got other districts that only went up 30, 32%. But
Is this,
Sorry.
is this our insurance just in general, or is this all of our insurance? Like,
Say that
like,
again.
is this our building insurance? Is this, is it all of the insurance, or is this just like, just building
This is-
insurance?
This is our insurance package. They insure, obviously the buildings, our vehicles and everything else.
Okay, so this is the whole, we
This
have
is-
one, we've got a lovely bundle going on
Yes.
that went up 90%.
Yep.
Awesome.
And
That's super
again, you can see what's happening to other school districts as well.
And so these percentages, that's just insurance?
That's just insurance, just our premiums.
Do we have flood insurance?
We do not have flood coverage, no.
We're not in a flood zone here.
Yeah, we're right below Kitchens and Kitchens.
But we're not in a flood
We're
zone.
not in a flood zone.
There's that.
Come on,
little
Jen,
hill
don't make
right
my
over there
Joe
to the
Carter
river.
outside of this.
And that's why there's no water.
But if it floods 15 inches an hour,
Toast.
Everybody's gonna be in trouble.
Yeah.
I don't know what
when it does.
the future holds, but, and you remember last year, we got that huge MSOC increase of, I think it was $21 a student.
Yep.
For a total of $1,800 to help us out, get through there, as did every other school district in the state. This is one of the major issues that almost all of the educational unions and groups are focusing on. It's transportation, special education, and MSOCs. Those are the big three. Those need to be fully funded. And a great website to, if you're in a conversation with somebody, is this WashingtonSchoolFunding.org. It has nice, easy to follow graphs like this. So people are thinking, well, education gets way too much money. Great website to kind of show them, I guess, how things have changed in the last few years. I do anticipate it to be kind of a contentious session because people are getting ticked.
We've all seen what happens when education doesn't become a priority.
Right.
Movies like Idiocracy, that was a comedy, becomes a documentary.
So shocking numbers on insurance. I was kind of floored when I saw some of these numbers. And we haven't had a lot of claims.
No.
We have not had any really significant claims. We had a backstop a couple of years ago. Other than that, nothing.
Nothing to speak of.
No, but it still went up, 90%.
We're seeing it in general across
At
all.
least we still
insurance.
have insurance. I can't get homeowners on my house.
Talked about the wine.
Look at states, what's
Fire.
happening in Florida, where they're not even insuring people. Same thing in California. You're in the-
Self-insurance.
Yeah.
Easton self-insurance. There we go. I'll start the kids to do it.
So I wanted to share this with you just to share the dire straits that a lot of schools are in. There are right now 6 school districts in binding conditions, which means OSBI has kind of oversight of their financials and their day-to-day operations. The schools are Marysville, LaConner, Mount Baker, Prescott, Tukwila, and Yelm.
They're not like,
You've got quite a mixture there of school districts, and there are about another 15 to 20 that are on the cusp. If things don't change, every school district will be there sooner rather than later. So the funding model needs to change. I don't believe that's going to get taken care of this session. There'll be another Band-Aid, but maybe in the supplemental budget. Take precedent, because right now everybody's just focused on getting elected. So. My job.
You should do just something that's like Washington State Schools. insurance.
Right, like schools should be almost exempt from premiums. Like
Yeah.
they should just be a funded thing.
Yeah.
You shouldn't get granted funding and then say, oh, well, 3/4 of that funding goes to us.
I mean, there's, only 2 or 3 big insurance companies, in the state. And, we can provide their premiums to the state and still we're absorbing these costs. All these districts are absorbing these costs, so it should be going to kids. But instead we're paying insurance premiums. Just a bit frustrating.
Yeah, I think insurance in general is frustrating.
Completely.
and then you have an 18-year-old with 2 speeding tickets.
Good luck with that.
It's cheap, real cheap.
Yeah, well, you shouldn't have got him a car that did over 65.
He's gonna own his own car pretty soon. He's 18.
The last thing I wanted to share is a little bit of an update on strategic planning. I have asked Jessica Lewis to assist us in that. She has agreed. So probably in the November board meeting, she'll kind of lay out a plan of what we're gonna do is we'll have some, hopefully get some community input on some of the plans and in the course of next spring, finalize those plans and what our goals are as a board and as a district. And then, I said earlier in my goals, have something in place by September of 2025. So she'll be working with us and going through some activities. And we'll be looking at samples of other districts. And we need to recreate the wheel, but we can beg, borrow, and steal. So
Hey, that's the greatest compliment you can have.
so
is
we'll kind of
Copy and paste.
We'll look at what other districts are doing, kind of make sure it fits the Easton values, and we'll move on from that. So Jessica, again, has been grateful enough to do that for us.
Section 10, executive session.
Yes.
Oh, we do?
Just
Okay.
I know I wrote 20 minutes on here, but I think it's more than like 10 minutes.
Okay.
Not a long. I'm gonna give the board an update on a couple of items.
Yeah, well, so everybody knows, the executive session today will be approximately 20 minutes to receive and evaluate complaints or to consult with legal counsel. At all their TV land?
We are at 6:49, so I would guess we'd be back at 7.
Okay.
After going along, so.
All right.
Yair, thank you very much for coming.
Yeah,
You don't have to stick around. Appreciate you coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. And I didn't get a chance to tell you, it was a great game.
Thank you.
Great senior night.
Yeah, it was good.
See you before the game on Thursday. So.
Thank you.
Snow sports meeting tomorrow. Is that something I should try to go to?
Snow sports, you probably
Oh,
would want to be there.
The snow sports?
Yeah, the snow sports. I was gonna
That's
come to
just
that.
Mr. Miller.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah, 'cause I have a-
Talk with the kids and see if the interest. I'm sure we'll have good interest.
Right?
Oh, interesting.
I do. That's why I work there.
Right.
It's not smart enough.
We go out to do this. Maybe never get that. Great.
I can always go back and work with Darren. Darren and JT don't even have guys that work for him anymore. Oh.
So I guess I just realized, I don't think we did a motion to go to the executive session, but can we do a motion to return?
Absolutely.
I'll make a motion to adjourn executive and reopen the regular meeting.
Second.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everybody.
All right. All right, sharing of any good news.
It's October.
It's October, almost November. I had the pleasure of going to the junior high girls basketball game last night. It was a barn burner, no pun intended, but 10 seconds left. And the ladies hit about almost a 3-point shot. We won the game. And it was
Wow.
fantastic. I think that's the first game that the team has won in a couple of years. So it was a very
That's awesome.
happy crowd, happy kids.
I
That's
was,
a good one.
It was a good one.
I was at the football game on Saturday, and I believe I heard correctly that we were the first team to put points on the board against Clown Bay Bruins
Yeah.
this season.
Wow, that's
I
awesome.
think
And
so
the
as
team
well.
prior, I think, 2 weeks.
So they played great.
They did.
I commend both our coaches because you can hear their coach screaming at the
Yes.
boys across the field.
Island
And
Bay was big.
And they have a game this Saturday, right?
They have a game on Thursday.
Yeah.
At Washington School for the Deaf,
in
So-
Vancouver, right?
Vancouver.
Yep.
So I think they're leaving 10 o'clock, trip over there, and this team is not Clown Bay, so hopefully we'll have a good result when we come back.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
seeing the boys from what they started as to
Absolutely.
this was the first game I saw this year. They've come so far.
Everybody is healthy and
Yep.
everybody is eligible, so hopefully we'll get some good results from the
Yep.
kids.
And I didn't know Logan Hickey was playing, and that was awesome.
Yeah.
So she
It was her younger sister that made the game winning shot last night.
Yes, Finley.
so yeah,
Yeah, so for all the Jags, may the balls be with you for the, all the games going on. And hopefully we'll see that the volleyball team is winning right now
Yes.
as we exit.
Yeah.
All right,
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody. Let's race down to the gym.
Go unload a Costco run for my darling oldest.
I'm sure you guys got that.
My mom